Alright, hello world, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be doing a Python tutorial starting from the very basics. So this will be for next few videos and onward, we'll be doing these introduction to Python tutorials. So for these, for you, if you're watching this as a beginner, want to learn Python, then this will be a good series for you to follow. If you want to learn how Python works and how Python can help you in your daily life. So I guess I would just do a quick introduction to Python, like what is Python? So Python is one of the most popular programming language right now in 21st century as of 2023, January 22nd, 2023. Um, it's really simple to learn, and that's actually Python's one of Python's numerous advantages is it's really easy to learn. It's very intuitive, as you can see from the python.org slideshow here. It's also dynamically typed, which means you don't have to worry about types of data, quote unquote. If you don't know what that means, it's fine. We'll get to that when we get to that. Um, yeah, so I think learning Python can really help you, whether you want to do anything programming related or not. Like, it doesn't really hurt you to learn Python because it's a general purpose programming language and can help you in your daily life as well, right? So if you want to automate some tasks, then you can do that. If you want to create some sort of project and do that, and Python can definitely give you a well-paid job. So let's get started on learning Python, which is a programming language. If I haven't said that already. So so to set up Python, there's a couple things you will do. First of all, head over to python.org. By the way, every links in this video you will be able to find in the description down below, so feel free to check that out. So python.org is the official website for Python, as you might imagine. There's a download option here, which it will figure out your platform. Right now I'm using a Mac OS, so it's gonna allow me to download the newest Python version, which is Python or newest stable release, I believe, Python 3.11.1. Well, you can go ahead and download that. Most Mac OS, I think if your Mac OS is older than 2020 or something, Python 3 is automatically installed, or sorry, not Python 3, Python 2 is automatically installed. So if Python 2 is installed, then you still need to install Python 3.11.1 because that's the version we'll be using throughout these tutorials. And in fact, you should use Python 3 or the most up-to-date version of Python because it's the most stable release. And the Python 2 is already deprecated for like years now, so may as well use Python 3. It's just simply better. Okay, so now once you have Python 3 downloaded, open up the zip file and then you can follow all of that procedure. That's pretty easy, in my opinion. And then we need a code editor. So a code editor is where you kind of, what it sounds like, where you can write code, right? So I like to use Visual Studio Code for Python. So Visual Studio Code, in case you don't know, is one of the most popular code editor, and it's also sometimes called a code IDE or integrated development environment. So I will give you a tour around about Visual Studio Code in a bit. But if you want a local, so when I say local, I refer to your computer. If you want to download a code editor on your computer or locally, feel free to download that. Of course, this also knows I'm using Mac OS, so it's going to download Mac Universal, and it's also free, so that's good. So then, once you have that set up, you might want to follow this article as well, the setup article. This is where you can add code command to your paths. I know it sounds really confusing, but just follow the instruction. It's pretty simple once you have it downloaded. because then you will be able to see why it's so powerful. Finally, if you don't want to download a code editor, you just want to use a one in the cloud, for example. And that's just a fancy way to say online. You can head over to replit.com, which is an online code editor or online code IDE, really, because it allows you to debug also. So I will also attach a link in the description down below. So Replit is an online code editor. It's very good. It's also its essential features are free, so feel free to create a REPL, create a Python REPL on Replit as well. The code will be the same. How you run it will be slightly differently. I will point that out. Yeah. So that's that. So that's quite a mouthful. Once you have everything set up, then we can go get started with the code will be written today, which is really fairly easy. It's just going to be a hello world program, and we're going to create a couple variables and see how we can use these variables. I know it sounds like a lot of stuff, but it's pretty easy once we get to it. So if you need to, feel free to pause the video to install Python if you're ready. Let's go ahead and get started. So since I'm using Mac OS, this is a terminal we're looking at. A terminal is basically where in movies it's where these cool hackers do cool stuff, basically. And what we're going to use terminal for is we're going to open up Visual Studio Code. So if you're in Mac OS, then what you might want to do is you want to probably make a new directory first. So what does the directory mean? It just means a new folder. If you want, you should type this command mkdir. That will make a new directory. And then you can type the name of the directory, for example. I can just type Python tutorial like that. And now we have that all set up. And then once you're ready, then you can type code, assume you have all the shortcut set up, code Python-tutorial. And once you click on that, as you can see, Visual Studio icon pops up and it opens Visual Studios up. So it says restart, but it's fine, whatever. So the key thing about here is this is what we call Linux command. Don't worry about it too much. If you don't want to create a new directory, you can just type code dot and then press enter. That will just open the current directory in VS Code, but it's up to you. If you're using Windows, then this may not necessarily work if you're using regular Windows prompt. What you might need to do is you need to use a PowerShell, because I believe PowerShell support these basic Linux command. Okay, so hopefully that's not confusing. If that's confusing, feel free to comment down in the description down below. That's where that's where I will be answering all the questions and stuff like that, where you can join the Discord server if you like. I will also link that in the description down below as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is VS Code, as you can see. We will rarely use any of these options throughout the tutorial. Sometimes the debug option is really helpful. We'll see if we're gonna get a chance to use it. But this is the most important part. These two options here. Okay, so this shows you the current directory, right? So if we click on it, as you can see, it's Python tutorial, and we can click on new file. That will allow us to create a new file. In here, we'll just write main.py. Okay, main.py. So it doesn't really matter how you name your file, honestly, but the most important part is you need to be ends with .py. If you name it ends with something else, it will work to an extent, but just name it to .py. So VS Code, and your computer knows you're dealing with Python file, and as you can see, you got a cool little Python logo right up there. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll write the first program that you will learn when you get to a new programming language. It's hello world, and it's very simple. All it does is just print hello world to the screen, quote unquote screen. So how do we do that? Well, quite literally, you will just type print, parenthesis, quotation mark, hello world. Again, you will just type print, parenthesis, quotation mark, hello world. That's all you will type. Okay, so let me make it slightly bigger. So yeah, that's all you need to type. Print, make sure it's all lowercase, parenthesis, make sure it's matched up. Quotation mark, make sure they're matched up as well. It's really important. We'll get to why it's important and what happens if you missed, one of these elements in a bit. Okay, anyway, so now let's go ahead and run the file. So how do we run the file? Well, there's a quick way to run the file. I believe if you click on the run button, it will run the file for you. Okay, if you click on run button, it will run the file for you. And as you can see, hello world is printed on the screen, right? And by the way, this is also terminal. It's just in VS Code. But yeah. But I don't want to do that because I want you to know how to run a Python file manually, because that's really important. Because when you're dealing with terminal, or when you become really efficient programmer and you want to use what's that thing called? It's I forgot. Shoot, I forgot what's the name called. But it's like a terminal editor where there's like a terminal. Where it's like an editor in a terminal, literally, you would just use different key binding to navigate. I forgot what's it called. Yeah, I'll probably remember it in a bit, but when you're doing that, you need to figure out how to run the Python file manually. So to run Python manually, what you will do is we'll create a new terminal, first of all, and then it's pretty simple. If you have all the downloads set up properly, you should be able to type python3 main.py. Like that. If you're on Windows, so that's more complicated. If you're on Windows, then I would just recommend you to press a run button because how Windows work, because Windows kind of is a little bit weird when you're using Python. I believe you need to type main.py on Windows, but I'm not sure. Okay, so now as you can see, it printed hello world to the screen, right? Printed hello world to the screen. So pretty nice, right? And in this case, to the screen means to the terminal. That's generally what we mean if we say print something to a screen, it will be printed to the terminal. If you're using Replit, there will be a run button you can press that will run it. If you want to type this command manually, you need to switch to shell, which you can find it, I believe, somewhere in the top right. All right, so now as we can see, we successfully printed hello world, right? This is amazing. And now we can start to, modify the program a little bit. And let's modify the program so it print out your name. All right. So in this case, I switched it to my name, Boyan. So in here, we'll just write hello Boyan. So now to run the file, what you will do is it will be the same thing, python3 main.py, press enter, hello Boyan. So also, there's a really cool shortcut if you're using a terminal. If you press tab, if you type, like a impartial file name and you press tab, it will fill the rest for you if there's only one file that matches this pattern. Okay, so this is really cool. All right, perfect. So now we can see our name, or your name, get printed onto our screen. Nice. So this is what we did, right? We can use this print thing to print something to the screen. All right. So now let's look at different way that we can use a print thing, this print thing, quote unquote. So technically print is called a function, but I don't want to get too deep into that yet because we didn't really talk about the function. For now, we're just going to refer as a thing, quote unquote. All right, so now let's create another print statement. I think statement is a better name. So print statement, and in here, let's just write good day. Okay, good day. Let's write that. And then what we can do is we can write Python 3 main.py again. And now you can see hello world, good day printed after it printed hello with whatever your name is. Right, with whatever your name is. So notice it automatically creates a new line between them. This is how the print statement works. It will automatically create a new line after each print statement. Now, if you said, I don't want to create a new line, I want them to print on the same line, well, there's a couple ways to fix it. One way is you can add this, comma and equals empty string, like this, or empty quote. For now, we'll call it empty quote. Okay, empty quote like this. So then, when you run it again, there will be no new lines created because we resetted the end to print nothing, right? Because originally the end will always be a new line, but now the end is nothing. Okay. So this is how we can use a print statement. So there's also another way we can use a print statement. For example, notice how we're using space, right? Let's say we don't want to print it this way. All right. We want to say, let's say we can print it another way, like this. Print hello, comma, your name, like this, right? So what that will do is it will automatically join these parts separated by a comma. So you can have infinite numbers, right? Hello, John. Hello, David. Right? Let's say we wrote that. By the way, type clear will clear the terminal. And use arrow keys that will navigate the history of the terminal. Okay. So as you can see, if you use this comma, it will concatenate the string. So concatenate means you're adding two strings together, you're putting two strings together. And how they concatenate is they will concatenate by add a space. Right, by add a space in between them. So you don't have to worry about add a space within a string, right? Because right now you have to add a space within the text. If I'm saying string, that just means text. All right, that just means text. You can think about it that way for now. Yeah. So that's how comma concatenation works. In print statement, you can have these infinite commas, and it will basically just concatenate different parts of the string together. Let's see. So one more way to concatenate strings together is using plus. We can write hello and then plus your name like this, right? So what that would do is that will basically do the same thing, right? But except it will just literally add these two parts together, and it will not add anything in between. Okay, unlike comma, which will automatically add a space, plus it will just automatically add two things together. Okay, so I believe this video is long enough, and it's probably a little bit confusing already. So if you're confused, don't worry. Feel free to comment down below and join the Discord server. There's a lot of friendly people there to chat. And if you need any help, feel free to comment down below. I will try to respond as fast as possible. And join the Discord server if you want like a faster response time. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. If any question or comment, again, feel free to comment down below. As always, stay safe and have a great rest of your day. In the next video, we will be learning. We'll be keep building on the knowledge we learn, which is print statement, and then we will start to add variables to it. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time.